And we are live. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we're going to talk about Harlots Season 3, Episodes 5 and 6. The two episodes before the two-episode finale, if you want to call it, for at least Episode Club's coverage of it. But joining me today are my fellow Harlots, Erin and Kaci, or also known as House of Lorebridge and Braavosi Broadcast. So whoever wants to say hi first, we do so. Oh, Erin, you're muted.
Oh. Hey guys, it's me. It's Erin. How you guys doing? It's nice to see you. It's good to be. A little time has progressed since we lost Charlotte, so we're gonna talk about some vengeance tonight and see where this leads us. And I'm still at Bedlam, so excuse the screaming.
Well, I am not in Bedlam today, thankfully, so we'll just have to listen to it from your end.
Yeah. Good old Bedlam. That's life, isn't it? So some are more rowdy than others. Clearly Erin's at a rowdy location.
Yeah, it's a rough one over here. We've got like that lady that sings to her imaginary baby and all kinds of things. Not some of those greasy doctors, but definitely some crazy ladies, and me, who's a little crazy, but I clean up nice. So
sometime. And we got some awesome people joining us in the chat today. We got Amanda the Fearless Mermaid, apparently human, also known as Catherine Harding, as well as some person named Braavosi Broadcast. Again, don't know who they are. As well as some channel, I don't know who this is, but they're called Top Shelf Fandom. Again, don't know who they are, but I guess you have to go check them out, I guess his name is Justin. I think we have all heard of him at one point. And Peter Griffin, yes, who brings the breaking news of Sophie Turner, aka Sansa Stark, and Joe Jonas of the Jonas Brothers are apparently having a baby. So there we go. Thanks for keeping us informed, Peter. As well as someone named House Lorebridge. Again, don't know who they are. As well as Miss Duncan the Tall. Cece is also here with us. And Sasa K. Again, hello everybody. And Danny McKay. And OTDA. What is this? It's all rhyming today. So we've got
a good crew in the chat tonight. It's nice to see all you guys because you're all a bunch of awesome folk. So good to see you.
we had the terrible person that runs the Top Shelf Fandom YouTube page. I don't know who they are, but yeah, I guess you got to go watch them. Talk about Westworld with some other content creators, Anyway, but this episode 5, and well, these two episodes actually, but episode 5 starts off with the Pincher brothers going to Mr. Young and basically demanding the land in return for keeping Margaret's secret of being alive and in London. Can you believe that these two are actually so stupid? And they were, in my opinion, I'll put it out quickly, that they weren't the best additions to this show in terms of the fact that they're literally scamming. And how I put this is, we traded in the Scanwells and Miss Injustice Hunt for these idiots. And I also think that something about Hal Pincher rubs me the wrong way. What do you guys think about the whole Pincher brothers? And do they rub you the wrong way as much as they bother me sometimes?
I'd like to think that Isaac is genuine in his feelings. Sorry, guys. I like to think that he really, truly loved Charlotte. He seems very distraught by her death and, the whole scene with, him getting her dress. And just, he's very upset about the whole thing. But you see that he still kind of has that what's the word I'm trying to think of? He still has that cutthroat side to him when he's like being secretive, and then he offers to Emily basically to give her his cut of the land. He doesn't want the land anymore. He's like, I'll give you the money. I don't want the land. I want to cut ties with all of this. Like the whole thing is just terrible. And so he's still got that cutthroat nature, but I feel like he's effective enough that he just wants to just rid himself of it all. So he's willing to buy Emily off. Now there is that question of like, is he going to kill her in that situation when they go down to the docks? Because that is like when Emily goes and tells Nancy about it, she's like, are you an idiot? Like, why would you freaking go down to the docks on the promise of money at night to meet some guy who they already at this point believe that he's the one that killed Charlotte. So it's like, no, don't be stupid. Like, don't be that stupid, Emily. I thought you were smarter than that. So was he really going to kill her? He says he wasn't down there when she goes and meets him. But anyway, personally, this is my second watch, and yes, I think Isaac is a little more greasy this time around. However, I've always gotten a bad feeling about Hal. I think that Hal just is like, he's got more of like a hidden violent nature. Like you don't know what to expect from him. And you can't read him as easily, but I think that he seems just like, I don't know, a little more of a not a loose cannon, but just like he's like the quiet man. You don't trust the quiet man because they're the ones that'll get you. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on the pinchers, on the pinch Scanwells. I hope Amelia is doing well.
Yeah, I hope we see the Scanwells again. They were fun. But no, I agree with you on the pinchers. I didn't think they could quite stoop so low as to kind of scam Margaret's husband out of the land. It seems like they got a steal of a deal on it. I thought the worst they'd do would just be like, reestablish the deal we had before and call it a day. But they kind of took him because of Margaret. And then I agree with you what you're saying about Hal's temper. I see Isaac as kind of being like the firecracker temper. Like it's quick, but he's just noisy and annoying mostly. But Hal seems like he has that slow burn temper where like he doesn't blow his top easy, but when he does, it's going to be nuts. And that's scarier than the little firecrackers over there.
Yeah, they burn out fast, but yeah, and Emily,
well, and
she's
Isaac, like
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that Isaac seems like he's actually pretty harmless. I mean, minus the whole arson bit and everything, but like he just is a flash in the pan kind of passionate type person. Like, not to make excuses for him or anything, but like he doesn't even know what he's doing half the time anymore with Charlotte being out of the picture.
Yeah, no, his mental state is messed up. And Johnny is in the chat with us. I think, yep, he says.
Oh, hi, Johnny.
He says, what's going on here? Where's the cunny? That's what he's saying.
No freebies.
Yeah. Where is the cunny?
And he's walking around with his lemons again. Like, come on.
You don't go anywhere without those lemons.
It's just what? And now Johnny and Justin are having an argument in the chat, so like usual. Yeah, so make sure if you haven't, go check out Johnny's new video he posted this morning. It's about the new Netflix show Ragnarok, which is like a Norwegian TV show. It's dubbed in English if you watch it on Netflix, so you'll be able to understand what they're saying.
Oh, rad.
But yeah, it's a good one. I watched the first episode and I really enjoyed it. Like it pulls like a twist on the Norwegian or like the myth and legend of Norse mythology. So
Yeah, and it's really good. I love that, like the references and the quotes from Norse mythology. I can say that with a lisp. But no, it's a really good video. I really enjoyed it, and I haven't watched the show because I didn't realize that it was dubbed in English. So
Yeah, it's English. Like, yeah, it's a good one. It's only like 8 episodes, I want to say, so it's a quick thing, I think. But they're making a second season, so they're making me laugh in the chat again. Justin and Johnny, they're still fighting in the chat. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, we got the Pincher brothers, more specifically, like Isaac, aka Alfie Allen's character, if you don't know who we're exactly talking about. You can tell that he is still struggling with the death of Charlotte. And that it's affecting how he does certain things. Like later in the episode, when he's even talking to Emily, he's like, one of us has to leave, and that's gonna be you. Like, trying to push her away and trying to be like, he's like my brother, he's my bro, and we're tight, and you're not, so get out of here, kind of thing. And
bros before hoes.
exactly. That's the literal definition of like their relationship, basically. And
that's the storyline of the season. That's like literally, they're like, okay, what's the storyline of season 3? Bros before hoes. All right. It writes itself.
Yeah, and we can kind of jump around with like the Isaac sort of storyline, because it basically, like Erin said, Isaac wants to pay Emily off and have her leave, pay her shares of the tavern. But we all know that we've all watched this show for as many episodes as we've watched it, and we know that these women are up to something. So they obviously have Margaret Wells show up, and Nancy, and a deal goes sour, so to speak, and Isaac gets shot by Nancy. I half expected that Nancy was going to have one kill, at least in the entire show. It was interesting that it was Isaac. What did you think about Nancy killing Isaac and not obviously giving the official kill to like a Margaret Wells or even Emily?
I think that Nancy just did it out of reaction. I don't think it was very premeditated on her part. I think it just happened to be like the way that things played out, because Margaret had the gun. They were all upset. Because Nancy was like trying to leave town. Nancy was just fed up with the whole thing. She was like, Margaret came back. Now she's stirring up a bunch of shit again. And then she's just going to leave again. And so she's just, her thing was she wanted to, she just wanted to leave and get out of there before it could hurt her, because Margaret's hurt her, a lot. And she was devastated when she left. And now everyone's trying to get on their feet. She already lost Charlotte. God only knows what other kind of mess Margaret's going to kick up. So Nancy was just ready to like put it behind her before it could hurt her again. And it just so happened the way things played out, she had the gun, and they were down there at the docks. And, I think in Nancy's heart, it was all, she loved Charlotte. Like Charlotte was her own daughter. I mean, even if her and Margaret weren't, like, she loved Margaret in, a love way. Like she really loved her. But if you think about it, they've been best friends since they were little kids, and then they grew up and she had Charlotte and they raised Charlotte pretty much together. When that's your best friend and they're living that rough life and she doesn't have a father figure, because that's how it works in the brothel. Like Nancy was her second mom. And so losing her was just as devastating to her as it was to Margaret. She's known her just as long. She had, especially in the past year, they had that really close personal relationship. So Nancy killing Isaac, I think, was just as impactful as it would have been if Margaret would have done it. But they kind of shared that, and Margaret even said that. She's like, this is us. We're in this together. This is our kill together. Like, this isn't you. You didn't do this. That was my gun, you know, and I would have killed him if you wouldn't have. So it's just is what it is. And Margaret was like, I will take the fall. Like, even, you know, she wasn't going to get caught. It was like this weird thing. Like, they got away with it perfectly because Margaret on paper is dead. So, you know, it really worked out perfectly as long as Nancy can like roll with punches and not let it get to her too hard and understand that it was for Charlotte, you know, that it was for Charlotte. I mean, you gotta just swallow that hard pill because that was vengeance, and it doesn't always like taste nice or good or feel awesome, but that's vengeance. So
What was it that you messaged me the other day? Vengeance, justice, fire and blood.
that's right. It's for Charlotte. Harlot the Charlotte.
Harlot the Charlotte. Kaci?
I was surprised that Nancy was the one to kill him, just because it was such a knee-jerk reaction, and Nancy is always so collected, but she's just become so frazzled the last couple of episodes, and she feels like she's lost everyone that she loves, and like she's about to snap, it seems like. And then she killed Isaac, kind of brought her back to reality a little bit. But I almost wonder if she can, you know, kind of handle it, if she can stomach it. Just because she's so sensitive, which is why she acts like she's such a tough, cold broad. Just that's I feel like that's her mask that she puts on. But she's really, I would argue, one of the more sensitive characters in the show. And up until this episode, when she had her freak out, I'm gonna run away from home moment, she'd kind of been the backbone, just like letting everyone else come to her with their problems and dealing with everyone else's shit and putting up with all of Margaret's chaos.
Yeah.
And now, like, she's just been burnt out, I think.
Yeah. The chaos is a ladder. See, we're slipping all in the references. But be safe, Johnny. It's okay if you can't come back. We miss you though. We miss talking with you. And your favorite, Mr. Armitage, was in the next episode, in episode 6. So, anyway, because speaking of Margaret, we have the two of them her and Mr. North having a conversation about what they want to do, which is basically not bribing, but like manipulating the new magistrate and the justice system to basically acquit Margaret of her crimes and wanting her to be back in England and in London. And to me, this isn't gonna work because it never works. Like this show, if she was to come back on, like this actress was supposed to come on full time again, it just doesn't seem like it's working. Especially when you look into episode 6 with this. Are you surprised that these characters, most specifically Mr. North and Lucy, are putting so much faith in the justice system when we all know that the justice system is not fair to these women from the get-go? Like, example, Mary Cooper.
Right. No, I'm not really surprised by it. I think with Justice Hunt and the way that situation went down, I think, and just their lives in general, I think they've got a pretty good feel on the pulse of the justice system. And like Mr. North mentioned, this new magistrate, justice, whatever he is, the Scottish dude that we have on the show now, he seems to be pretty understanding. Like, he doesn't come from an upper class lifestyle, it doesn't seem like. So he just wants the facts, and he doesn't seem too terribly biased. And also, I mean, what they're asking for from the justice system at this point isn't something they can possibly even hope to ever achieve on their own. So if they want to keep Margaret around and they want to keep themselves out of trouble, they've got to have a little bit of faith.
What are we talking about? I'm sorry. Oh God.
Beginnings of the plans of like Mr. North and Lucy wanting to manipulate the justice system to get Margaret out of her part.
It's kind of a weird thing to like try and. I mean, there's obviously a reason why they would be doing that. But I guess it's cool that they're, if they're trying to like save her some face or whatever. But it is kind of like, why, obviously there's going to be like a reason as to why you're doing that. And then when he hears that, like, all of a sudden he starts hearing her name more and more. And like Mr. Armitage hears that she's in town or something like that. They're all like, no, she's dead. But, it is kind of just like the justice doesn't know what to do with it. He's just like, what the hell am I being given? Some dead bod that now they're saying she's alive and she was supposed to be dead and this justice isn't here anymore. It's just like a whole lot of crazy. And I love it when he's in his office and I think Mrs. Quigley comes in and she says, oh, well, I saw her last night or whatever. And he just sits back in his chair and he's just like, for fuck's sake.
He's like, I have to add dead people coming back to life on the papers now.
Yeah, exactly.
What's his name? Mr. Knox or something like that?
I think so,
The new magistrate.
Yeah,
I guess.
So. Yeah, our Scottish dude.
Okay, the Scottish person.
Cute, though. He's cute.
This new magistrate, quote, Scotty too hottie. Is that a good name for him?
I accept that.
Yeah. Why not? It's funny. They have we had Daniel Marnie in season 1, the Irish not a pirate that we tried to call him. And then now it's the new magistrate. So it's like, what? Now they're going to, if we imagine we get a 4th season, they'll bring a French person into this and be like.
We already had a French whore.
Yeah. Well, the French man. Like, you're like, je ne sais quoi.
I'm okay with a nice Irishman or a nice Scotsman.
And I kind of want to keep Knox around. He has Justice Hunt's good qualities with just wanting to uphold the law, and no matter who it's for or against, he just wants to do his job. But he has more backbone than Justice Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Justice Hunt would not have dragged Quigley out of her house to the dead house to inspect Mrs. May's dead body.
That's true.
Whereas this guy's like, nah, we're going.
Yeah. And he's got, like that Scottish sort of roughness to him where like they're just not as refined as like or that's how it's portrayed in movies for us all the time. Although give me the Scottish any day of the week. But they're a little more like they're less refined, they're a little more rough, and he's got that to him, which I kind of I like that. I like that they were authentic with that.
Sasuke now wants Ramsay to be on the show now. You and Rayhan. Oh no.
Let's do it. Hey, if we can have Theon, who was a genuine prick for most of the show, I think we can have Ramsay too.
Yeah, it's like Reek. It's like, where's Reek? It's like he's dead.
I promise he's dead.
He's dead this time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we do get a season 4, which who knows, like there's speculation if we're getting one anyway, but it'd be nice. But the magistrate, which was another kind of interesting question. The magistrate is a nice like we were saying, dynamic with this because Justice Hunt kind of he rolled over pretty much with whatever the women were saying. He kind of gained a little bit of a backbone, but then it always would fall apart. While with this one, he's like pretty much willing to stand up to anybody. What did he say last episode? He's like, you know what perjury is to Emily, and she's like, like all of this stuff, like teaching the people, the main characters, like the consequences of like lying and cheating the system and stuff like that. And again, they have a scene where they show Kate having a conversation with the magistrate, and you all know that this was going to go somewhere sometime soon, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice that these two get to have like because they have the conversation before the magistrate's like, Lady Quigley, we're gonna go to the dead house or get the fish bone, and it's just so funny. It's just like,
you see the change in his personality. He goes from being like the gentleman caller to being the justice real quick, but it was cool.
Especially too when she's like she closes the door behind her and she's like, you don't want to go in there. Like Kate, she's like, it's too stuffy.
It's really just poor Aunt Pettifer in there, just like bawling because she had her baby taken away from her. God, that whole thing is really sad.
Poor Kate probably didn't even want to be in there though. She's just like, what in the hell have I gotten myself into? Like, take me back to Bedlam. Knock this shit off.
Well, that's the alternative.
Maybe not quite that bad, but
yeah, that's where
she has some processing to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, she hasn't had a lot of life experience, so she's gone from her her parents' house to the loony bin to Lydia Quigley. So I mean, she doesn't really know like
also a sort of loony bin.
Yeah, like her options seem pretty limited right now to her. But she gets a little smart. She wisens up this episode. She's starting to like get the hang of things, especially with the prince.
Yeah. Oh my God, that prince.
The fourth in line to the throne. Oh no.
Hard no. God.
He's Prince Makar.
Again, we all know it's like she's obviously going to go after the magistrate at this point. It's like short, not so attractive versus tall and attractive. It's like,
I can't get over his makeup. Oh my God, it's horrible.
It's like, did they hire like the most junior person to do his makeup while the rest of them, they're like,
He looks like he's straight out of Queen Elizabeth's golden age. Like he doesn't even, I don't even know that he's right for the time period. Like I'm sure it's accurate, but it's just so exaggerated. It's, God.
You're like,
God and her dirty talk. Like, I need someone to translate for me or something.
What, my clam?
Yeah. I'm just like, wait, what?
When she was like,
oh my God. She's so good. I can't believe she can like say, like, she does a good job at,
I want to know how you say those lines and not out. I'm sure that'd do a million takes. Like, how do you not bust up?
Especially in that, like,
between his makeup and her lines.
I know, because I mean, I'm sure he's laughing at himself too. This is 2009 or whatever when it was filmed. So,
as well as like the simulated sex like material as well. So it's like saying cringy things while being filmed, doing something cringy because it's like
maybe that helps, for it to. Really helps tone down the awkward sexuality when you can at least like laugh at yourself that way. You're like, "What, my clam?"
Speaking of whacking things, we forgot to mention the how the old friend shows up at Nancy's house, and this is where like it's a brief thing, but how she basically has given up that part of her life. She's retired, so to speak, from that life. I mean, I'm not surprised because she wasn't really doing that much anyway. So, but I wouldn't. Oh, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just basically gonna say it's like they should have given us a slight more backstory with this man. Like I know, like he was like important to her, but like a brief, like 2 lines just to give us like who he actually is, how long they've known each other, all of this stuff. Because it's like old friend, but it's like who's your name, what's your sign, what you doing here, kind of thing.
With the way he was acting to her, like you mentioned, like they knew each other really well.
Mhm.
I almost wondered if maybe he wasn't the guy from like when we're introduced to Nancy in season 1 and the girls are reading that paper about everybody, if he wasn't the guy that we saw Nancy
His
flogging.
butt?
Huh?
We saw that butt way back in episode 1, season 1.
I don't know.
episode
I didn't rewatch episode 1, but I almost wonder if like she wasn't maybe one of his regulars like that.
Kaci, you need to go back and compare asses. Okay.
Okay, that's my homework.
You're wearing the Nancy thing, so come on.
Okay, Mom, I will go compare asses for you.
It's also in preparation for another derriere debate. You know, you gotta look at
Oh, we gotta have Nancy's ass man on the derriere
Put them
debate.
on. Yep.
how
for
many
real.
Nancy whacks would you give that butt cheek?
Man ass. Okay.
Kenzie's good at this. she's a Nancy at heart.
And the whole friend. But yeah, the whole thing with Nancy too in this is that her and Margaret have this like conversation about how every time you show up, like why did you come now and why did you even come at all when all you came for was to destroy everything everybody has ever built. Because that kind of bleeds into the conversation that she has in, I believe, episode 6, or that Margaret has with Lucy, I believe, in episode 6, about going to America and like leaving the life in London behind for a life in North America. Like, I think Sasuke mentioned it, but it's like Margaret wasn't really, like Margaret was more a pain in this episode than like a pleasure almost. Like Sasuke says, like that she kind of hated Margaret in these episodes, and that she's finally glad that Lucy told her that she liked being able to breathe without her, and that Mr. North even says everything she does turns to a mess. What did you guys think about Margaret this episode? Minus the parts we already talked about, but would you do the same thing? Would you be like as crazy and destructive in people's lives if you just came back and be like, so let's pack up everything and come on back with me?
I mean, I can see where she would want her daughter to come with her. So, I mean, offering her that and like trying to make it as clear as possible that that's, you know, gonna be a good option for her. She wouldn't have to worry about whoring. You know, it seems like Mr. Young is pretty well set up and willing to care for them. So, I mean, just letting her know the option is there, I think was important for Margaret. And Lucy probably felt more overwhelmed by it because of everything else that was going on. And just like, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough thing. Margaret, I don't think that she could have done anything different because, like, if she didn't make those offers to her children, or to Lucy at least, then, you know, would we be sitting here saying, like, she sucks because she's going to leave them? But she does have to leave Jacob, which is kind of messed up because he's the younger one. And so that's hard on him. But at least he's got his dad, and there is the point, like, their lives are not going to be better in America. They can't go there. But Margaret can't stay. Like, that's the thing. She can't stay. And at least she's being honest with herself. She, you know, figures that out pretty quickly in this episode. She's like, you know, it's too dangerous for me to stay here. I'm going to get caught. There's too many people that know me. I'm going to get caught and I'll end up dead. And so the smart thing for her to do is leave. But yeah, I mean, if she could get any of her children to go with her, I'm sure she wants that. She doesn't want to go alone. And now that Charlotte's gone, Lucy's kind of all that she has that she could possibly take. And she even offers to Nancy. She's like, you know, you could come with, you could be a frontierswoman and like you'd fit in there. But in the end, it's like she made that bed and she's got to lie in it, and she's got to, you know, that's something she's got to do alone. She doesn't get to take her family. She has to leave them behind, and that's really hard. So I could see why she would go to try and get them to go. But the whole thing's really hard too with Mr. North also, because he understands it, but it's also super devastating for him. But he's a man. He's a grown man. He understands it. He knows how Margaret is. And that's even the conversation he has with, he has a conversation with Jack when he's like, how could you stand to be with a woman who does this, you know? Mm-hmm. But also he has the conversation with Jonah. They have like a moment together where they kind of realize that like this is a woman that they share, so it is what it is. Anyways, yeah.
I don't blame Margaret for what she's done. I also don't blame anyone if they don't want to go with her. I mean, they had all set up their lives and expected that she was alive, but they'd likely never see her again. I think is kind of seems like what the family braced themselves for with her transportation, was that they might not ever see her again. And she just kind of came in and just like exploded everything in her normal Margaret fashion, and is now leaving again. And she's breaking everyone's hearts again. And everyone has to figure out how to carry on life with or without her again. And she just seems destructive. Like, I know she doesn't mean it that way, but she's just so impulsive. And it just is more damaging than helpful, I think, like to Lucy and Mr. North and Nancy and everything.
Yeah. It's like Margaret Wells in these two episodes, especially like even in the end of the fourth episode, where she's singing out loud enough that you can hear her outside, and Lydia Quigley recognizes that. Like, first of all, if you're in hiding, don't sit in direct view of the window and don't start singing when you're singing loud enough, especially around someone who could hear you and also recognize your voice, a person like Lydia Quigley, which is a big plot thread for these two episodes. But yeah, like what we're kind of saying, Margaret Wells kind of acts like a bull in a china shop, comes in, destroys everything that was once set up nice and perfect, like their lives were all fine and normal, and just destroys everything and wants to leave. Like, we've got, yeah, it's like, that was really annoying because she's like, oh, like, and then just acting like this fragile woman. It's like, all of these people were fine, and then you came back and destroyed everything. Like, you didn't have to admit the fact that you killed George Howard, and you didn't have to do this and that and the other thing, which led to you getting exiled. But now they have to loot. You come back, throw everybody's life in turmoil, effectively, even though it's not actually, like, I don't blame her for it, but effectively she causes the death of Charlotte because she finds out about the house burning down from the Pinch brothers. And then she just is like, just like, let me take my daughter and go home. It's like, no. Which brings up the question of, it almost seems like Jonah is, or Mr. Young, is a good man, but he almost seems like he's too good for her, especially in these two episodes. I don't know if I'm wrong or if I'm right on this, because he seems to want what's best for her. He wants to let her have some part of her life back, but also at the same time, he wants to keep her safe. Like, that is his wife now. And even when, what is it, in the dialogue, he says, I don't even know where you are half the time anymore. Like, that's sad, because he's like, he risked his whole life to come back here, to bring her back, and now she doesn't even want to have anything to do with him. It's like,
well, I mean, these are London matters. You don't understand. She's got some business to take care of, and especially now that Charlotte's dead, she's got to take care of some stuff. And Jonah doesn't exactly know maybe the woman that he married so well when she came home. So he is really good to her. He is very, very good to her. And almost, like you said, he's probably almost too good to her, more than she deserves. But she's also been through a lot that are undermine that. She's had to do what she had to do. And she seems like she even said to him the last episode, in episode 4, I think, she said, I don't have any more secrets from you. You know me entirely. So, she was honest and upfront with him as far as like her reasons to get back to England. And he was supportive and helpful and risked everything for her. But he knew what he was doing. So you can't really blame Margaret too hard for that, because she might have her feminine wiles, but he's still got a brain.
I'm just still trying to wrap my mind around why she came back in the first place.
That is a good point. Like, she didn't need to, but I think that it's a mother's, burden. Like, if you had to leave, and they didn't have phones, they didn't have the internet, they didn't have, things like that at that point. So she has no idea what state her family's in, or how, when she left him. Using your better judgment, you've got to assume that things aren't going to entirely fall apart, but she is a business owner. She owns that house. She has all those girls working for her. She has 3 children. She had a man. She had to leave all that behind. And that was her own doing, because she was trying to rescue Lucy. And then, I don't know, things just have played out so crazy that it's like, how could you have predicted that? How could you have tried to, rectify that preemptively? Like, you just couldn't. It's just kind of going back to it all, she just wanted to save Lucy, and then it kind of spiraled. She was willing to give her life to save her own daughter, and that's what she thought she was doing. The fact that she lived and got away, that was not what she was expecting when she did that. She was expecting to give her life. So now she's just kind of doing what she's got to do to get by, and thankfully she met Jonah, and he was there for her when she needed it, and he's a good ass man. So he's sacrificed a lot for her, and she, she doesn't forget that. So
I hate to sound like a Margaret hater, but it seems like everybody is always doing stuff for her. But like, what does she do for everyone else besides concoct these half-baked plans that just wreck everything?
Yeah.
She walks around with those titties.
I see where she's coming from, like, as a mom and everything, but like, Jesus, woman, think things through a little bit. She has more tits than brains.
Like, exactly.
That is 100% true.
Like, also too, like, going to that point, when she goes to Elizabeth Harvey's house and is like, pay Lucy out of her £200 and so she can come to America with us or whatever, and Elizabeth is like, no, I'll pay if Lucy wants out, I will pay Lucy or whatever. And then Mr. North is there, and she's like, what are you doing here? Like, she's acting like Mr. North being at Elizabeth Harvey's house is like the most preposterous, situation. And when Mr. North chases her out of Golden Square and is like, Margaret, why are you being such a hypocrite in this situation? Like, I have to see you walking around with this man, and you have this man's last name, which apparently you also said you would never marry somebody, and here you are, you have married somebody else, and you brought them here, and you have to basically flaunt them in front of me if we're ever in a scene together or whatever. So yeah, she's just kind of like a hypocrite, like all of that whole thing with, especially with Mr. North. With everybody else, it's just, I'm back now. Let's go back to the way things were. It's like the way things were. You missed a whole year in everybody's life. Like Lucy grew the heck up. Charlotte grew up too. She became the bod that she always wanted to be. Jacob, we don't know too much about Jacob because he's not really around. But everybody else kind of took up shop when you had to be banished. And what do you expect? Like, you miss a year in somebody's life and you expect things to go back the way they were. That's the one thing that bothered me. It was like, you want them to be like season 1 stuff? No, don't work like that. But
I don't know. I guess I didn't feel that too hard from Margaret. I don't feel like she came back and just tried to like run things too much. I still feel like she's pretty aware of her situation. The death of Charlotte definitely complicates things and makes it like a harsher reality. But I feel like she faced the truth, internally pretty quickly. She could have stuck around and like kicked up a bunch more chaos, but she just basically, took care of Isaac Pincher pretty quickly. And then, she had to sort of deal with each and every person that has been affected by all the things that she's done. And then she was out. Like, she knew that it was the better choice for her to leave. She knew that it was better for everyone around her. They had come so far without her, and Jonah had given so much for her that like it wouldn't have been to her benefit to like stay there. It wouldn't have made her happier. It would have probably only brought her just turmoil and misery. And I think she knows that it was time for her to move on, even though it was hard. It's like when she left Mr. North, just say goodbye, just say we had a good time. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little too sympathetic to Margaret because I fucking, that's my soulmate right there.
That's okay. She said, I really want.
No, that's fair.
That's okay. I really wanted Mr. Young to refuse to take her back. That would have been an interesting dynamic, but that's not how this show's gonna work.
Well, I mean, if the show wants drama, that would have created some drama because she wanted to go back with him and he could have refused, and then she really would have been in a tight spot.
Yeah. Well, there was a point.
Damn lucky.
Yeah. There was almost a point where they almost had him leave without her. I can imagine. Like, he's probably going to be like, well, you got like one more day. And then the one more day just drag. I can imagine we'll just like drag on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's one more thing. Oh, yeah. We obviously see Elizabeth Harvey's like scary past, but we can talk about that in a second. I forgot to mention this when we were talking about Lucy, but Lucy sees the, I guess, Lord or another form of a justice that's going to help her mother's case, and he's obviously sparring with another justice or judge or whatever you want to call it, and overlays the voiceover in this is Fallon and her having the conversation about being a Spartan and killing, and how like killing is an art and all that whole conversation. It almost seems like she has, in some sense, like how I wrote it, like how he still affects her, kind of like how she almost, in some sense, has had that. I hate to bring it up, but the Sansa Stark effect on her, where everything that has happened in her life has given her the position that she is now. Like the most influential people happen to be people who were now sort of demons in her life, almost, where they're like mean to her, but made her life the way that it is now, and like how she's like, well, gotta be a bitch or whatever, then just like just do it. So, what did you kind of think about bringing the Fallon back? I know Cece likes Lord Fallon. So they brought him back for that brief moment.
Yeah. Well, Elizabeth Harvey, she's just an interesting character that, like, she's willing to use people, but people have used her too, kind of is what she's hinted at. Like, she hasn't exactly always had it easy also. So it's kind of like she's out there living in sort of a cutthroat world, and she's trying to, she's just trying to, like, put on a front to, like, she's doing what she's got to do to put on that good front to make it work. And she even says, I think to Lucy or to somebody this episode, she's like, I want to make this work. I need to make this house. Yeah. She's like, I don't want to keep running. I can't keep doing that. I need to make this house work. So whatever we need to do, let's make it happen. And, yeah, I don't know. She's just, she's sly. She's a sly devil. So I don't know. You gotta just kind of keep an eye on her.
Kaci?
Sorry, guys. I had a dog trying to terrorize the neighborhood. What'd I miss?
No
My house is the animal version of Bedlam, Erin.
I think Bedlam has died down here, thankfully. I think they've
all had their medicine.
Literally died. I don't know.
They've all been sedated.
Yeah, they've all had their medicine for the day.
Sorry, guys.
No problem. It's just like talking about like how Lucy's been kind of like that whole scene where she sees the guy that's paying her for her silence was sparring, and then there's the whole thing about how you have to be a Spartan when it talks about Lord Fallon, as well as like Elizabeth Harvey and that whole scenario with the bad man who was like who was basically paying for her debts in debtor's jail, which was like her ex-husband.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was all a trip.
Yeah, they'll get into it a little more in the next episodes, really, but that's just kind of sort of a taste of that. But yeah, you can see that she has the background with the debtor's jail. And she kind of mentioned that her and Frito mentioned it in passing, I think in last week's episodes. Like, I'm not going back there kind of thing. I'm not going back to the life that we had before this. And then, yeah, the ex-husband, it sounds like Elizabeth said, he whipped my son, so I left him, but the husband ended up in the debtor's jail paying off her debt for the last few years. So I don't know. And then she's been on the run and doing her thing, and he doesn't seem too pleased that she's running a Molly house. So I don't know.
I don't think if you had to go to jail for somebody else's actions that you'd be too happy that they're just like living their life, making money.
And living in like a really lavish place too, like a really nice house and a nice neighborhood and dressed like to the nines because she was dressed super fancy right then.
Yeah.
Not good. You wouldn't want to come into that. And then she just like hands over the amount that he needed. Like it was nothing. She's like, here, this is more than I owe you, basically. So
yeah, but that's not the kind of person you want to know that you're running a Molly house that could get you killed. Like, true. That dude has a chip on his shoulder. She should have just let Mr. North go dump him in a river. George Howard style.
Yeah, but I don't think Elizabeth Harvey will kill a dude to fucking keep her house going, all right? And that's something that Margaret Wells will do, so don't fucking play on Greek Street.
I'm just saying, Margaret has a lot. Margaret has a lot of downfalls, but killing someone that's going to take down your house or ruin your family, that is not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You won't hear me talk shit about that.
Well, didn't Mr. North tell her that, like, she's like, because Margaret's like, Isaac Pincher's dead, and then Mr. North basically goes, another body to add to your body count? Like,
Yeah.
She's like, no, it was Nancy this time.
Stop killing people, woman. Is basically what he was basically saying.
The only person that she'll throw Nancy under the bus for is Mr. North. He's like, no, it was Nancy this time. I swear it wasn't me. But
And
yeah.
then, yeah, right. We also have Hacks Dogma in the chat. I know Hacks is doing, I believe, Westworld with Justin this season. So go check that out. But yeah, like the whole thing with I kind of like how they have Lucy kind of acting like how she is with in terms of, I can't remember his name, I forgot to write it down, but the guy who's basically paying her for her silence, and then when they open the door he's like, you gotta act like we're together, but like it's just like, oh yeah.
Littleton?
Yeah, Lord Liddington, that's what
Liddington.
No, Liddington was that shitty guy that is friends with old what's his face from last season. What's his name? It's like Crowley or
Mr. Croft, I think Sasuke is saying. Is that right?
Yeah, that
is it Mr.
right.
Croft?
I think so, yeah.
I can't remember.
But yeah, Lucy, she's like doing it because that's Fredo's. I know. I'm like, I need some chips. That's his lover, like his gay lover, and then, but Lucy's getting paid the same that Fredo's getting paid for her silence, and then she shows up. He's helping her out though. He's trying to get her mom's name cleared or whatever, and but he, it helps him too because she shows up there and she looks all, stunning and hot and young. And then she like makes out with him, and all those other like judges in the other room were all like, just gross. But like, yeah,
the dude thing.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
but
Lucy Wells, and her sister's now dead too. So it's like, ooh, the price for a Wells woman is higher.
She's top shelf. She is top shelf.
Well, that's a perfect gig for her too, covering up for his affair with Fredo, because she's basically doing the same thing as being a harlot minus having to be on her back. Which is why she wanted to be a bod, because she wanted out.
That's what she wants. She's like, and it's very kind of Lydia Quigley. She's in Golden Square and she's starting to keep secrets and keep money for that. It's kind of like a really good business model. Like running a poly house and keeping those secrets. Like that's some quick money right there. If you as long as you're willing to take that risk.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, they're like official tagline: get dressed in one and then get undressed in the other. Like that's thing, so. And Justin's back trying to stir the pot. No, I'm joking. That's where Johnny is. Johnny's not here right now, but
he's driving to Florida, so he's in between service, but he'll come back to us when he can.
Yeah. But he's Justin. He's like, he's hiding in his closet. He's trying to lure me out. Maybe.
Johnny's our best girl. He's our most wanted harlot. Look at this chat, everybody. Where's Johnny? I need Johnny. That's my best girl right there.
He's the Fanny of the situation right now. He's being Fanny right about now. Well, we might as well talk about Fanny segue to Fanny for a second. Like, Fanny is a G in these two episodes. Like when Emily comes and knocking, she's like, "What are you doing here? You abandoned this house like multiple times.
I love it. She just like puts it, she stands in the way of the door. She's like, you think you're fucking coming in here? Hell no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like this whole thing of like you side with the enemy multiple times, and now you want to be loved by us. It's like, not today.
I love that with how shitty Emily treated Fanny in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and that's not the first time that's happened to Emily at Greek Street. Like, poor Emily. But she's always, I mean, I love Emily, but she's out for herself, but she's kind of got to be, because like nobody's looking out for her really. She doesn't have friends or family or somebody that gives a shit about her, and Hal kind of does, and that's the thing. Hal's kind of showing her a little bit of affection and attention and love, and so she's kind of clinging on to that, and that's part of the reason why she's defending him, but it's the wrong choice. She just kind of chooses the wrong.
She has the worst taste in Friends, man.
She's not got the best judgment, that Emily Lacey, but let's be honest, this is kind of starting to work out for her, because Hal bought the tavern. He bought the Saracen's Head, and he bought it for them. It's their names, not Isaac. He's not on the deed or whatever. So that's like, and she gets choked up in that moment that he gives it to her, because she knows that he is a bad person. And I don't know if she knows right at that moment. I don't think she knows yet that he is the one that killed Charlotte, but she knows that he's like not so good of a person, because she overheard him talking to Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
But Emily was there when Isaac got killed, so now she's got this huge secret. And then Hal's like, "Oh, I bought you this bar." So Emily's like, "Okay, well now I've got to just bite my tongue, and I'm keep like." You need to keep the bar, Emily. Keep the fucking bar.
He's offered her a sense of stability that she's never had before.
Yeah. But she's going to have to kind of sell her soul to the devil in order to get that. And she knows that. So she's a little.
Yeah, like the man that killed her friend, or her once friend, is just like, all right, now I'm just going to shack up with you for a while. But he just gives me creepy vibes. It's almost like, again, it's another Game of Thrones reference. Like Littlefinger. He's just like Littlefinger, like just being like creepy, and you just to be like, I gotta lure you in, just you stay beside me. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like he's obsessive with Emily the way Isaac was with Charlotte, only it's not quite so obvious. It's a little bit more on the down low, but I think he does still kind of have that obsession with keeping Emily around, and I don't know that I want to label it as love, just because he keeps so many secrets from her, and he's really quick to push her out of the picture when Isaac throws a temper tantrum about her. Mm-hmm. And then he'll fill her in on like a few little details that he thinks will make her happy, but he's never fully upfront with her the way like Mr. North and Margaret usually are for most of their relationship, how everything's just kind of on the up and up. All the cards are on the table, but he still hides things from her.
Yeah.
And then, like, when Emily overhears them, there's, like, that shady moment where, like, he's saying all these things to Isaac, like he's, oh, Emily's just, she's nothing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But then, like, when Emily overhears it and she comes in, he knows that she overheard. He's like, what did you hear? And she's like, enough. And then he tries to play it, like, the other way. He's like, oh, well, I'm just saying whatever to appease him. And this is all for us. So you don't really know what direction Hal's going to go in right at that moment. And then when he ends up buying the bar for her, that's actually like really surprising. And he actually almost seems genuine in that moment. Like he's happy when he's like signing the deed and they kind of like flash to him in that moment. And he has like a pretty genuine smile on his face. And it almost makes you wonder, like, if Isaac wasn't killed, would it have worked out better for Emily and Hal, But probably not. I mean, probably not. Let's be honest. Hal's just a ticking time bomb, I think.
Yeah. Well, and he didn't even ask Emily if she wanted to stay with him and be his business partner. Like, he just expected that she'd just jump in with both feet and, swoon and be just happy that he bought this bar for her. Like, what if she doesn't want to be a freaking barmaid?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, she gets to at least be like the
like,
boss
he's just-
bitch in there, which is cool.
like he's just kind of trapped her.
Yeah. Yeah. Men will do that.
Hashtag Johnny is the new Fanny. Hashtag Fanny Johnny B. Fanny. Justin. The whole chaos is a ladder is fine in theory, but they don't mention it is one you tend to climb down, not rise up. Yeah.
That's
What is it? It's in the
that
Vikings.
is the true words have never been spoken.
And
That's
then
good.
what is it? Vikings is like power is the one who people who risk themselves so lower themselves to then pick it up or something. It's like something that Ragnar says to Bjorn in like season, like a vision, but it's like power is one of those things that people only lower themselves to then pick it up or something like that. It's like reverse of Littlefinger's methodology, but anyway. Yeah, I think that Hal, in especially episode 6, when he finds out that Isaac is dead, he's just like goes in like this big whole like emotional like explosion of revenge and all of this stuff, and it's just like so like Margaret Wells is alive. It's like and then Mr. Armitage, everybody's favorite, is like the Night Watch found him, and again that cracked me up because Game of Thrones, Night Watch. It's like the Night Watch found him in the night. It's like, I don't know. Yeah.
What was that, Kaci?
The voice for Mr. Harlots. But I think the whole death of like how realizing that Isaac is dead is going to change this character, hopefully for the better. But who knows? He just seems to just like going to be complaining for the rest of the season that his brother was killed and that the women have something to do with it, and it's just going to be just this big mess of just like sitting there going like, okay, let's move on now to something else. What do you think?
Well, it's like it's stupid how upset he gets as if it's so unexpected that there would be some kind of retaliation. And like he doesn't question, why his brother was down there at the docks or anything like that. Which I mean, I guess is his own business because it's like, whatever. But he's down there with like the papers and the money and all of that left on him. And his brother's not concerned about that or like what he was doing or like thinking like probably these women who already like got like they already sought out retaliation on you one time when you burned their house down, but now you killed their girl and Hal, it was you, and you're still to this day like blaming your freaking brother, but like it was you that killed her. So like don't sit there and act like, oh my God, so fucking surprised when all these people, like when retaliation is coming, bro. You don't just get to kill Charlotte Wells and not have like the town on your ass. Like, and Emily was just lying to herself to think that that wasn't going to happen. But, that's another reason why she's like trying to get him to chill out. And he's not even, she can't get through to him at all. Like he's just losing his mind, and he's not, I mean, as much as she tries, she's like, you just need to calm down. We just need to go home. We need to prepare your brother. We need to give him like a proper funeral and that kind of thing and do the right thing. But he's just seeing red. He's not, that, like we said, he's been a ticking time bomb, and that time bomb went off. Like he lost his mind when his brother got killed. So, and he doesn't really have anyone besides Emily to reel him back. And I feel like in his state of mind, like you would need a man, like a man would need like a man to be like, all right, like calm your ass down kind of thing. But he doesn't have anyone like that. So he's just off on a rampage.
Well, the only male characters that we actually enjoy that would give that type of advice are Mr. North. So yeah, he's not going to give that man any type.
Exactly. Like Mr. North would love for him to come over there, so he would have a reason to just kill him.
Pop you in the head.
Yeah.
Justin got me. What is going on?
Kaci, I think your sound is messing up.
Sounds like a mouse. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so the quote that I misquoted was "Power is dangerous. I think it's like it attracts at worst and corrupts at best, but I could be wrong. Power is given to those who are prepared to lower themselves to pick it up." That's the quote. Oh, it's just we gotta wait on Kaci for a second. But yeah, I think it's one of those situations where again, it's the power of what you want. You have to fight for it to get it, kind of thing. OCD.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't want to like that guy. He's just not nice.
He's not a good person. And now Theon's gone, so now we're only stuck with Hal to hate, and he's easy to hate. So I wanted to like Theon. You know, he loved Charlotte. You know, I wanted to love him, but actually the second time around, I don't love him as much.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where you're just like, well, we had him for a small time. But also at the same time, you're just like, eh. And then what remains of this person, you're just like, I don't know about it.
Theon Greyjoy might be a good man, but Isaac Pincher is like so-so.
Exactly. You want to have Theon Greyjoy, not Isaac Pincher.
That's actually that's bad. Anyway, if you're like saying Theon is a better person than you.
Well, like compared to Isaac Pincher, right?
Post-Reek. But yeah.
Exactly.
Any better?
Yeah, there you go. It was just because it was like you were sounding like Minnie Mouse for a sec.
Yeah, I don't know. My mic just quit working.
Strange.
Justin, this is ladies' night. You know, it has been for like a month. So, you know, we have good times over here. We get crass. Well, I do anyways. You know, Mackenzie doesn't swear, but that's all right.
You gotta have your gin, especially when you talk with harlots. You gotta drink some gin.
Mm-hmm.
All they drank in the show. No one drinks wine in the show. They drink gin.
I can't blame them for getting into booze, though. They need it.
Yeah, they don't have anything else. They don't have like weed or
you gotta cope somehow.
Water.
Well, Johnny, if he was here, he would say that alcohol was safer to drink than water. So
probably, unless you like dysentery.
Yeah.
And also, we're bringing out all of the power-related quotes because Mandy brought the quote of Varys, which was, my eye was itchy. Power resides where men believe it resides. It's a trick, a shadow on the wall, and a very small man can cast a very large shadow. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So justice for Cherry. No, I'm joking.
Cherry, she's so awesome.
I love Cherry.
Cherry is just so freaking good.
Cherry Torrington. Cherry gets a bit of a focus in these 2 episodes too, and it's funny how like even when Nancy's walking by her, she's like, Cherry? And then Cherry's just like, uh-huh. And then she's like, guys just walk by, she's just like,
she's all like posing in her little dress and her wig and so she's so freaking cute. I love her. Yeah.
Everyone underestimates Cherry, I feel like.
I love it when she's sitting there with Lydia. Lydia's like, what do you even want from your life? And she's like, well, if my next call doesn't ask me to piss on his feet, then I'll be happy. But
no, here.
Yeah, poor Cherry. She probably just gets the freaking pick of the litter. But she, you know,
Cherry is a bot at some point.
Right? It'd be awesome to see her come up and like do something awesome because she's got a heart of gold and like she's not stupid. She's a smart girl. And, you know, she's got a lot of connections and stuff. So it'd be cool. Maybe she'll get herself a good keeper.
She needs a good keeper. And who knows, she might find one if this story continues on.
Mm-hmm.
Sasuke. She just wants us to talk about the prince again. Oh no. Like the prince like that storyline, I mean, it's like because you're just frustrated because you know that it's just like this just man is just no. And then the magistrate that's involved, he just like wants to what did he say? About Ann Pettifer, it's like, oh, that's like childbirth ruins women and all of this stuff. It's like, you psychopath. Like, shut up.
Oh
He
yeah,
is.
the Marquis.
Yeah, they really are wasting no time like making him just despicable this season. Like, you just despise that man. He is awful.
And like even Ann Pettifer, she kind of redeems herself in episode 6 where what does she say? Oh, she's like sitting in the bed and she's like, I can't really work right now, and it's like because I got milk leaking from my boobs, and then Cherry comes around the door and it's like, some calls might actually like that. And she comes with like candy and some
God,
jam.
and then in that next scene with Anne, like Lydia's like, she's like, oh, if you can walk, then you can work, kind of thing. And it's like, dude, she just had a baby like 3 days ago or something. And you just want her to like get straight on, get right in. Like, first of all, that's dangerous. Okay, that's not very sanitary or healthy for your uterus, but God, that's mean as hell too.
Well, Lydia did learn Mrs. May. Mrs. May would have had Anne working like the day after childbirth. Like, Lydia's a piece of work.
And
Bedlam made her worse. Bedlam made her more crazy, I think.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I don't think blame her.
I don't think she'll do anything like that to Kate, but would she just put Anne back to work, or somebody who she's already got that familiarity with? Like, I don't know. We might see that happen.
I worry about Kate with Lydia.
At least, so we got that scene also with where Lydia said she wanted to see Margaret, so Margaret comes over to the house and she sees Kate there, and Kate introduces herself as her daughter or something like that, and Kate's just like, Margaret's like, no, and she tells her the story about when she was a girl and she sold her for the shoes. But Kate's, you can see the words like affect her, but she's like, oh, well, we have a different relationship than that, basically. But is it, and the words kind of resonate with Kate. You see that basically what Lydia says, like she tries to talk to her and there's that distance between them now. And Lydia's like, you poisoned my girl against me. She doesn't trust me anymore. She doesn't love me anymore. That's because you're poisonous. Like, she blames it on Margaret and says that her love is poison and that kind of thing. But who taught her to love? It was Lydia, And we get a few examples of that. And even sort of that maternal moment between them where they're at Golden Square and like Lydia's turned Margaret in, but Margaret's not going to run. And if she's not going to run, what's the fun in it? Lydia's not going to just toss her to the wolves. So she's like, if you want to play, then we can play. But if you don't want to play, well, then I don't want to play with you. Yeah, like she's not got that tenacity in her anymore, which is something that's changed in her. And yeah, they have sort of that exchange between them where she she says goodbye, she touches her face. And you almost see like a sadness and like a tenderness in Margaret for her. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic with Kate in the picture now, because there was almost like a maternal relationship between Margaret and Lydia.
Yeah.
So I think there's the potential that she could maybe have that with Kate, but
I don't know. I feel like once the Blaine dude mentioned the prince,
It's like Lydia's focus for Kate shifted from just Kate working and them establishing their house and getting Golden Square back to like now she's aiming to have like the ear of the royal family, basically, with trying to get Kate to be the prince's mistress, the poor girl. Like she's just aiming for more power and more influence than she's ever had before.
Yeah, like lifting her up in a sense. And yeah, well, and the Marquess has ties, so she loves yeah, it's like one of those ties where it's just like one of those things where you're just like gotta keep raising that ladder a little bit more. She tried that with Anne, and you know how that worked. Anne was kicked to the curb afterwards. So, but yeah. I think we scarred OTDA from watching the show.
He's like, this sounds depressing. No, it's
Sorry,
like
OTDA.
it's really good, and it's like empowering for women, kind of like. I mean, it's the time period, and so it's sort of the regular. I guess I don't know,
Yeah,
but there's a lot of fun aspects to it. Also, like there's the music, the costumes, the sassiness, the drinking, you know, all of it. It's just it's an interesting show.
Yeah, and
It's just the female side of history.
Mm-hmm.
That the patriarchy loves to suppress, okay? But we don't need to get into that.
Yeah. And then you, like I said earlier, you have some Game of Thrones extras or character Easter eggs in the show. You just gotta look for them. I think there's 3 at least in the show so far.
Yeah.
So
Mary Cooper, Theon, and there's somebody else.
Rassilus.
Yeah, Rassilus.
Pip.
Yep.
And you got did she even have a name in like season 2 of Game of Thrones? Like I don't even know if she even was given a character name.
Wait, which one?
Mary Cooper.
I don't know. Was she even given a name in the books? Just the fisherman's daughter or something?
I think it's the fisherman's daughter. I don't think she has a name.
Yeah.
Mary Cooper.
She's Mary Cooper now.
She's Mary Cooper.
Mary Cooper. Yeah.
The girl with the teeth.
Yeah, she just had bad teeth. But yeah, you get Pip in the show, Theon, and some random people that show up. But yeah, they're good. The show. It's on Hulu, so it's easy to watch. And there's like 8 episodes a season. So. Oh no. Oh no. Well, enjoy that DVD for all it's worth, and so you can rewatch season 8 whenever you want.
Oh my god!
But
says no one ever.
The one thing with like this show too is like it's an unexpected TV show. Like I didn't know about this. Like we said this before, I didn't know about this show until Erin mentioned it to me, and look, here we are. But I think the last big topic besides the whole like which we kind of covered, which was like the Marquess, is the issue of race, which this show does not shy away about talking about. And basically it's the whole Harriet storyline where you're a cull that Harriet has been having for the past little while turns out to be a slave owner in the West Indies? Something like that. And his wife ends up coming to her house and like basically explains this whole situation, and then that leads to Jack getting abducted and a bunch of other stuff. How do you feel like this was handled in the show? We know they handle race quite well in this show, but using the historical context as well as what happens. How did you think about that?
It's a pretty scary situation what they had going on. And I could believe that something like that could happen. I mean, that guy was pretty powerful, and he was also like really obsessive with Harriet. And so the way things played out, you know, that was his best. That is a source of revenge right there. And those two guys have had sort of a going back and forth between them from like the last few episodes, because Jack really likes Harriet and he's trying to process the fact that she is a harlot. And then this other guy who's like a lord, basically, he owns plantations in the West Indies. And so, but he's also like really obsessed with Harriet. So he's kind of like, I don't know, having his forbidden forever, his own weird perverted thing. And like his wife, she's just happy to, like, she goes and sees Harriet. She's like, you're a lovely toy, but I'm glad you keep him out of my bed and away from me. But he's like a monster. So you need to know that. So yeah, it's a weird situation. It's a weird dynamic. And that was his best source of revenge right there. So it's pretty scary that they have to live in fear of something like that happening to them. But it's been also kind of an ongoing, like a subtle theme throughout the season where they've mentioned like that's what happened with Nell. Nell went missing, and you know, just random like Black girls, or you know, that are out working, just end up going missing out for no reason. Like they just leave to go. Like with Nell, she just left to go. I don't even know if she was working. She just went out one night and she never came back. So these kind of things are happening where there's random sort of kidnappings happening in the city, and those people are taken to be slaves. And we know that it's, you know, even Mr. North says that he and Jacob can't go to America because they would be slaves there, so, or treated like shit. So unless they wanted to be their houseboys over at the Young's house kind of thing. So it's a real fear that they have to live with. And I don't know, it was a pretty crazy way that all played out.
Yeah, that lord she was involved with, he's like stalker level, like watch you on Netflix level creepy. But I don't know, I kind of like that they brought up the race issue again, because we've touched on it before when we were first introduced to Harriet with her previous husband / owner that was Margaret's friend. I kind of like that they haven't really let it fall by the wayside a whole lot, because even though the racial politics were different in England at the time, like it's still relevant to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they don't sugarcoat the whole race issue in this show, which is which is one of its qualities that is so great, especially when the show came out and it's still around. So since they do well with the show, especially since some of the cast is diverse, which is a good thing. Yeah, Johnny B. Fanny is back.
He's my best girl.
Yeah.
The Pineapple of Episode Club.
Yeah, don't you know, Johnny? Everybody wants you around here. They all come in. That's where we need Johnny. He's the best girl on Greek Street.
Mr. Armitage's favorite.
Yeah. Mr. Armitage misses you, Johnny. You gotta come back, because he was in this episode. He's too busy with the Night's Watch to you know, be there with you today.
He's out with the sugar piggies right now.
the sugar piggy. But yeah, I think these two episodes have cement really for us, at least for my dreamy muscle hamster, Mr. Yeah. I think that these two episodes really showed us what the show is like without Charlotte in it. And it's one of those situations where you're just like, okay, I can kind of understand this world. Johnny is not an earner. Oh no.
Oh God. Here they go.
Here they go. Now they're gonna go arguing in the chat again. But yeah, we got. I think with this show, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. It's one of those shows where it's a fun watch, and you get some interesting cast of characters in this show. Mostly women, a lot of boobs, a lot of butts. You know, the typical shows that we like to watch nowadays on this. On TV.
If it's not on the derriere debates, then it's not worth our while.
Exactly. There. Oh Jesus! Now they're talking about being. No. But like
I know it, Kaci. Sasuke, some sad dry HJs.
Oh God.
Never dry.
Oh no, that doesn't sound like a smart idea. Oh man. But yeah, the guy that speaking of like those, like the guy that Emily was with for like the last like couple of episodes just like disappeared into thin air. He's like, "You're too much trouble for me. Bye." And just like never heard from him again.
Can't blame him.
I know exactly. But it's the one question that I had before we can wrap up really was that the world has changed since the death of now Charlotte and Isaac. For at least Isaac, is it good riddance or I'll miss you, man? Like, is it that like one of those kinds of moments? And the same thing for Charlotte. With not the good riddance part, but like you'll miss her being in the show. We all know that the actor went on to a different show, but yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna miss Charlotte. I don't know, like the dynamics of the show will have to change without her. And then, I mean, with Isaac, you know, good riddance. I mean, what Isaac doesn't really have a purpose if Charlotte's not there, as far as I'm concerned. Like their love story was kind of like something for us, something tangible for us. But if she's gone and he was just kind of portrayed as the bad guy, then, you know, it is what it is. Now, if they would have portrayed him in a better light, or made him so affected by her death that he had to, you know, that he came to work at Greek Street or came to be their doorman or came to have a better relationship with Emily because of it, or anything in a more positive light than him just kind of being a shit, you know, the way that they did that, then that would have, I wouldn't say good riddance, but he didn't really, you know, I don't know, whatever. It is what it is. Bye to him. But there was kind of a sad little moment where they did that sort of like cut to where he's laying there and the blood is pooling, and then they cut to Charlotte and kind of their little like flash back and forth of the lover's death kind of thing. Yeah. And it is a really tragic thing that happened this season. So yeah, but without Charlotte, we don't need Isaac. So
no, if Charlotte's gone, I'm glad that Isaac's gone as well. He was just another bit of chaos that the women in the show didn't need. And he was a loose cannon. And I wasn't sad to see him go. I was kind of sad that he never got vindicated. Like, he died with everybody and their dog thinking that he killed Charlotte. And the poor man was never even allowed to defend himself. So I did feel for him on that one. But yeah, definitely gonna miss Charlotte. Kind of curious to see how the show dynamic's gonna go going forward into a season 4 if we get a season 4 without her.
Yeah, and especially too if Margaret Wells ends up like if that actor also leaves this show, like how that changes. I guess it's like the story of Lydia and Lucy, literally. That's going to be basically what this whole show will be pertaining to. And one more question I forgot. We had a big step forward in the relationship or friendship of Nancy and Lady Isabella. What did you think about that one? Because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was like, yeah.
It was good. Yeah, they have a great little bond between them. And it is, it's kind of beautiful that I guess Isabella is a lesbian, so it wasn't just like Charlotte, kind of helped her through that that rough situation. She kind of really found herself and figured out that she doesn't like men, that men are shitty and treated her awfully, and she's not going to find solace in their arms. So, but my God, she's just, we didn't talk about it last week, but they did a scene. It's the scene with her and Charlotte where they're just like, post-coital and in their nightgowns. That Liv Tyler, she is just one voluptuous, fine freaking woman.
She's gorgeous.
She is a woman. All right. She is beautiful.
One of the, and I know again, bringing it back to Game of Thrones, but she actually played Kit Harington's cousin in, I believe it was Gunpowder, the movie / miniseries.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It was like his older cousin or something. So that's where I kind of knew her from, minus of course her other famous roles. But I was like, that was like the first thing I've seen her in a long time before this, and I was like, wait a second. But
I think she was momming for a while.
Yeah.
But man, she is just a fine woman. And she does a good job at being very soft spoken. Like that's her niche, her niche, whatever you say, being that sort of soft spoken, gentle female. I don't know. She's Arwen for me forever. So
That's fair.
Duh. Wouldn't be like you without you. Be like, imagine it was something else, and I'll be like, what? No, it's gonna be.
Were you alive when that came out, Mackenzie? For fuck's sake.
Maybe I don't remember. Or I might have been too young. I don't know. If it was, I might have been too young. Oh man, yeah. I think Justin thinks that we did a good job for understanding a show that he has never seen. Well, again, watch it and then you'll understand it. Come back and watch it.
You came in on, the fourth to the last episode of the whole show. So, but it's a good show.
Exactly. It's one of those things where you're like, if you can convince somebody about that, then there you go. But what do you think about final thoughts of the episode, kind of the rating for this episode, and what you got going on otherwise besides being here all the time?
I'm going to I thought these episodes were really good. I had a lot of fun with them, especially with the crazy intensity of the last couple episodes with Charlotte. I feel like this was a good, vengeance run for them. So, and Margaret got to be there. There was a lot of suspense and stuff with her also. I guess we didn't even really kind of say Margaret left in the end. I don't, in case you didn't catch it, Margaret left in the end. She went with Jonah. So
back to America.
She went back to America
again. Who knows?
The new husband. But yeah,
the not Mr. North.
No, she went for her new man. Yeah. So Margaret left, but yeah, it was a lot of suspense leading up to that. We weren't really sure, was she going to go? There was a lot of drama with the Justice coming after her, with Hal coming after her, like Hal figured it out that it was Margaret. So he was, hunting her down, and he was, seeing red with that whole thing. And there was actually that great moment, like after she gets down to the thing and goes with Jonah, and then Mr. North is like walking back. He's walking away from the docks, and Hal's coming around, and he's just like, she's not here, she's gone. And Hal starts losing his shit, and then the Justice comes up, and there's just like this chaotic moment, but the Justice is like, you know what? She's not here. She's not on my shores. So there's nothing that can be done. So you're going to have to just get over it. And you're going to just, this is what it is. The woman's a freaking ghost as far as I'm concerned. He never once laid eyes on her. He never pardoned her. He never the whole thing was a friggin' mystery for him, but that's Margaret for you.
Literally. Right? It's one of those where you're like, I see nothing, I know nothing, goodbye.
He wants done with all these people.
I mean, he's already been on a wild goose chase for her already. He's been all over town. It's keeping him from doing his other stuff. And then, if he were to spend the time getting in a boat, trying to track down some random person that may or may not be there, may or may not even exist or be alive, like, he's like, no, fuck the whole thing. He just says, fuck it, I'm done.
It's what's that meme? It's like one of those things. It's like, you're crazy, or like no, it's in Peaky Blinders. It's like, no fighting. No fucking fighting. That's literally how he was acting at the end of the episode. It's like, no fighting. No fucking fighting. No fucking fighting. Like, literally.
I love that scene. That's like one of the best scenes of Peaky Blinders.
That's literally what the new magistrate's basically doing. It's like, you're not allowed to fight here anymore. Like, I'm now in charge. Like, those 3 years where you were fighting all the time. No, not anymore. But again, Erin, what did you rate the episode?
Oh yeah. So going back to that, I would give him a 9. A 9. I didn't think about any things yet. Hold on, it'll come. Just give me a second. I just got to grease the wheels, and then they all just come to me. Okay, I got it. I will give it 9. Margaret's motorboats, baby. But yeah, no, they were good episodes. So
I don't really have any final thoughts about anything that hasn't already been said. Like, these were good kind of cool-off episodes, like Erin said, after Charlotte's death and the chaos that ensued after that. They were heartbreaking, for sure, with all the goodbyes and all of our characters having to reevaluate their lives and everything. I think I would give these episodes 8 ships to America.
Mm-hmm.
Ships to
She ships Margaret and Jonah.
I don't want to, but Margaret needs to go away again.
GTFO. Margaret needs to GTFO.
Sorry, Erin.
Well,
Sorry.
you know what? She left Nancy Greek Street, that was the other thing. So she left Fanny Greek Street, and then Fanny was like, well, no, it's ours with Nancy. So Nancy was okay with that. When Margaret was leaving Nancy, she's like, kiss me and tell me that you love me. And she said, kiss my ass and go fuck yourself or something. And then Margaret left. And Fanny's like, Fanny was like, oh, she gave me a gift. And Nancy was like, well, she tried to give me one too. And I just love that. Fanny was like, it's fine. We can share the house. How about that?
Exactly. Johnny's given all the revelations today. He wants to be.
Johnny's a fan of Margaret's assets.
Yeah.
Well, Margaret, she's in business
Again.
in America. I don't know what I'm saying.
I'm sure that
things can be arranged, I'll talk to her for you.
The costuming in this show still abounds me with how she's able to not have a nip slip in those types of outfits. Like, how is that even possible?
Titty power.
Of course, that's
And then
because
also
the diet-
too, like, how do
there's
you
no
keep
room
it
for
from
movement.
hurting? Like on your own, like, because it's like so close to like your actual nipples. So it's like, how does that
Well,
not hurt?
I think Kaci can probably attest to this, dude. Titties can handle a real fucking beating. You don't even know what they can handle until you've had a kid.
What do those dresses? I don't even want to know what those dresses do. But I think that again, these two episodes like show us the power of what Charlotte meant to this show. Like, yes, we've had like an episode without her already, but episode 4 was effectively her funeral episode, and it's what shows how life goes on. Lucy, her life is now different. She's the only Wells woman in London, so she has to deal with that, and among other things. And Mr. North, you know, he has to become his own person again, because his wife is like, bye, see ya, basically at the end of this episode. So I think that these last 2 episodes, whether or not they set us up for an official, could be considered an official ending, or leave us open for season 4, is going to be really good regardless, because again, we really enjoyed this show. I would say that these 2 episodes get a 9. Hal's reckoning is coming. Like, these women, whether it's gonna be from the remaining women or even Emily, she who knows, she might just give them up and be like, yeah, this man's like actually the one who killed Charlotte. Almost like she could phrase it in a way where he's definitely gonna be like, yeah, he's the one who did it. The brother that died, well, that's his problem now. Or it's almost the other one where it's like, the Night's Watch found Theon Greyjoy instead of Jon Snow. But like, anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. So
It's all right.
we're not sure if Harlots is going to come back on Wednesday, so we might have it earlier in the week, or it may have like a special time for Harlots, because it is the season finale. So look out for that. Look out for the announcement on Facebook and on here. That we'll have that next week.
Some scheduling conflicts next week.
But you know, we'll get back to it. And then after that, we're going to talk about Westworld, the complicated show that is that TV show. Man, oh man. But make sure, if you haven't, go check out House, Lorebridge, and Braavosi broadcasts. Those are fantastic channels to go check out. And come on, they're ladies, and if you like them on episode club, you're bound to love them on their own channels. So yeah, I think what else is in my spiel? Oh yes, go check out on Patreon, because on Patreon every single week you get the show notes. So basically all of the notes that I take for the show and all the questions, they're on there, plus a bunch of other amazing things. Shout out to the patrons of the channel. They help out in the most amazing way, and I can't thank them enough. We also had a great chat in this episode. It was distracting at times, but it was really good, man. Braavosi broadcast was there in the chat. Sasuke was here. Fanny, aka Johnny Be Crazy, aka House of the Conqueror, was in the chat. Go check out Johnny's new video if you haven't. If you have, just go watch it on another account, and you know, just do that. Just support John. Support Fanny. And you got
support the Fanny.
Fanny, that's so good. And Mandolin was also here today, as well as Top Shelf Fandom, Justin Thomas. Go check out Justin, you know.
Fanny be crazy.
And it'd be crazy. As well as go check out Kaci, House Lorebridge. And Apparently Human, go check out Catherine's channel where I think she's been streaming video of herself playing video games. CC was also here. So many people here. I can't think. I can see if I can. I don't know if I can scroll. Amanda was also here. I can't scroll up to the top, but if you were here, thank you so much for joining us. Next week we're going to talk about Scotty the Hottie and everything else that comes along with that, and the creepy prince. We're going to talk about all of that stuff that goes along with that.
What, Justin? That's great. I love it.
Yeah. Yes, we have to have the Fandom family have its own channel. It has its own Instagram and I think its own Twitter, so it has to have its own YouTube channel. With that, we will see you guys for the next episode of Harlots, the season episodes 7 and 8, the season finale for season 3. Oh, Sasuke wants us to talk about Baby Kitty almost walking in on Fanny. It's like, oh, as a parent, you probably had those on. Like, oh no! Like a moment where you don't want to scar your small children.
Children, you need to have locks on your doors.
Exactly. Yeah. That the lesson in that is yes, lock your doors. Or at least close them when they're
Go find Lucy. Lucy's like just having a life-altering conversation with her mother, but it's fine.
She's sitting with her mom, be like, "Come to America with me." It's like, that would have been interesting if like Baby Kitty did come in and was like, and then she's like, just standing there at the door, and like they have to take care of Baby Kitty. Anyway, we can talk more about Baby Kitty next time. So. Thank you guys all so much for joining me. Thank you, Erin and Kaci, aka my Harlots, for Ladies Night. And yeah, we will see you all next time.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Bye. Da, 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 da.